So I want to play a quick game real quick. I just want to see who can be the most racist person in the room. And I think I have found them. So no one else really has to participate. It's a real quick game because it's not hard to be racist. The beauty of being black in America is that we can be racist with impunity. And because of the history of this country, no one will question us for it. So as quickly as the game started, it has ended because we have the winners. I'm about to play you this video. It's disgusting and horrible, and I think it's racist, but it's unfortunate that that's just my thought. Society probably won't see it that way because no one has been pissed, not no one, but the majority of people have not been pissed off about this. No one has called these people out. And if you ask a bunch of other people, black people can't be racist. So let's just watch it and see what the hell is going on right now.
What are white people superior at?
What exactly are white people superior at?
They're real good at violence.
Violence.
Genocide.
It's like stealing people's lives just because they feel like it.
If you are white and you know this is happening and you say nothing, then you're a killer too.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Insecurity.
Pretending.
Fear.
Being fearful of nothing.
Being ignorant.
Blame.
Letting their egos control their every move. Superior at being dicks.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Oppression.
Gaslighting.
Lack of empathy.
Intellectualizing oppression.
Did I say oppression?
What exactly are white people superior at?
Taking what's not there. Taking shit.
Taking our ideas.
Copycatting.
Gentrification.
Appropriating things that do not belong to them.
Taking over other people's cultures and making you believe that they invented it.
Maybe they're thinking of it as repurposing. It's like recycle and repurpose.
As my grandma would say, them white folk, they'll take it if you don't copyright it.
They are very good at destruction of land, destruction of people, destruction of humanness.
Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're conservative, like white people are really good at upholding white supremacy.
How about claiming that, you know, they are actually a whole separate race, when actually white DNA comes from the black female?
So what exactly are white people superior at?
Honey, lying, stealing, and cheating.
Manipulation.
Withholding information.
Lying.
Telling lies.
I don't even know how we got to this point. I really don't. But before I continue, and by the way, these people won the game. So if you plan on trying to one-up them, you can't. Because that was the most blatant racist video that I have seen in quite some time, right? One that is accepted. The fact that this is still on the internet, right? We are in this age of cancellation, and if you say something that people perceive as racist, or in what feels like recent cases, anti-Semitic or sexist or anything like that, they will come after you like it's crazy. Like they have nothing else to do, right? They will come after you. They will come hard.
That's what she said.
And they will make sure that you are either canceled or your content is taken down, whatever. But I found somebody who like remade the video, and they just changed the races around. So instead of it just being what are white people superior at, they inserted different groups of people like African Americans, Native Americans, Asian people. So I want you to watch this and then just see how much worse it sounds. Not because it actually is worse, because it's all bad, but because of how society would perceive it, right? Because this is still on the internet, right? It has not been taken down because it is okay to be racist toward white people, especially because half the population believes that you can't be racist toward white people because, at least in America, they're not a minority. We might have to revisit the definition of racism in a second, but I'm gonna just show you this, right? This is what it looks like when the races are switched, right? When it's not white, it is any other race or any other group of people besides white people.
What are white people superior at?
What exactly are white people superior at?
Smelling funky.
Letting their egos control their every move.
Privilege. Making bland food.
Playing the victim.
Congratulating themselves over shit that they're incompetent at or that should have already been done.
They're superior at being dicks.
What are Native American people superior at?
Corn mazes.
What are Hispanic people superior at?
Smelling funky.
Insecurity. Pretending.
Fear.
What are Asian people superior at?
Oppression.
Gaslighting.
Lack of empathy.
Intellectualizing oppression.
Did I say oppression?
What are black people superior at?
They're real good at violence.
Violence.
It's like stealing people's lives just because they feel like it.
Taking what's not there.
Taking shit.
Taking our ideas.
Copycat. Smelling funky.
Honey, lying, stealing, and cheating.
Manipulation. Withholding information.
Lying.
Telling lies.
They are very good at destruction of land, destruction of people, destruction of
Land,
humanness.
destruction of people. Like, just think 2 years ago, right? The government convinced us to burn down our already run down neighborhoods in the name of social justice. But you say that, and that's racist. But you can get on the internet and say that white people are better at, are more superior at all of these horrible things. All of them. So the simple question is, can black people be racist? 100%. Like, if you look at the definition of racism, and it's important to know it, even though it doesn't really matter. I said this before. What's real, what is fact in 2022, it's almost irrelevant in like 95% of the conversations you will have, which is unfortunate, but that shouldn't deter you from expressing what is true, because at the end of the day, that's just what is. Right? The definition of racism is just what is. People just want to open it up to interpretation based on the situation that they're currently in and how it best suits them. And that applies for everything. Being called sexist, being called a misogynist, being called a racist, being called anti-Semitic, being called homophobic, being called transphobic, being called xenophobic, and there's 1,000 more, and my brain just ran out of fuel because I don't know them all anymore. I don't really know what they mean. New ones are being made every single day, but the definition of those words is completely gone. It's out the window. Those words mean absolutely nothing. You want to know why? It's because if I say 1 + 1 = 2 and somebody disagrees with me, they can just call me a racist, and it discredits my entire point of view, at least in the eyes of society. And if you want to be ingrained in society, maybe because you have a job, or you are a journalist, or you have to interact with people in any regard, those labels will follow you wherever you go, and it is very, very hard to shake them. But I still believe in facts and truth and things that are real. So this is the definition of racism. It says prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. And then the second definition is the belief that different races possess distinct characteristics, abilities, or qualities, especially so as to distinguish them as inferior or superior to one another. And the word that is so important to highlight in that definition is typically, right? It says typically one that is a minority or marginalized, meaning that it is being directed toward them or at them in any capacity. Yes, that makes sense, right? History, at least American history, has shown that the group of people who occupied the majority enacted racism in the most extreme forms against those who were in the minority. That's not rocket science. It is true. It is fact. No one is disputing that. But the word typically is there for a reason, meaning that at least how we were taught growing up and learning in history or whatnot, that it was white people who typically perpetrated it, doesn't mean that they're the only ones who can be racist. Because what does it mean when a black person says, hey, white people are less than because they're white, or we are greater than because we are black? That is racist. And everything in this video saying that white people are superior at the destruction of like land and property is very ironic, considering what we have done to our neighborhoods, what we have been manipulated into doing to our neighborhoods for the past 2 years.
What you're seeing behind me is one of multiple locations that have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin over the course of the night.
Saying that white people are superior at being funky, that's just rude. And you know that would not fly. If a white person said that about black people. If a white person tweeted that out that said black people were more superior at being funky, then the tweet would have been taken down and they would have been suspended. The one girl said that white people were superior at being dicks. Guess what? I, as a black person, anytime that I have ever been picked on or messed with by any other kids growing up throughout school, guess what color they've been? They've all been black. I've never, ever in my life been picked on or messed with by a white person. I've had white friends, I've had black friends, so I'm not trying to say that white people don't mess with anybody. But when you're making general statements or you are making blanket statements and applying that to an entire race of people, that's racist. Because from my personal perspective, I have had nothing but almost all pleasant experiences with the majority of white people that I've encountered. And the people that I've had a lot of issues with have been black people. Guess what? Society will say, those are just kids bullying you or kids being kids or whatever the case may be. A white kid messes with me, you know what they're going to say? He's just being racist, It's just because you're black. That's why he's picking on you. You see how that flips and how weird that is? That we continuously use that as a reason for why people do things to us. And instead of trying to be better than what was 60, 70, 80 years ago, even 50 years ago, we have just now flipped it on its head and we can get away with it. Literally, like, no one will check us. And if they do, it's a slap on the wrist. And it only applies to two groups of people. And I'm not going to go into the specifics of it in depth right now because I want to save that for a different video. But there's only two groups of people in which you can go after relentlessly with no regard for how they feel about it or what the ramifications are. It is highly unlikely that you will be checked in doing so. Two groups of people. The first one is white people. So if you are just a pure white person, especially if you are a white man, it's no holds barred. Straight up. Number two, if you are a Christian, right? So if you are one of those two things or both, it's open season to just bash relentlessly. In society, they just kind of go like this, right? Or they go like this. Or they go like this. If you say anything bad about a black person, about an Asian person, about a Hispanic person, about a Muslim person, about a woman, about anybody from the LGBTQ community, and about Jewish people, off limits whatsoever. And I'm not promoting hate. I'm not saying that people should say bad things about those groups of people. I'm just saying that the level of respect is not standard across the board. It's not whatsoever. If you want to reference something specifically, which I know I said I wasn't going to go into specifics, but I guess I'll just foreshadow as to what I will eventually talk about. Kanye West's tweet that got him suspended off of Twitter earlier this week, in which he was referencing Jewish people. Just take the tweet, right, and replace Jewish people with white people or Christian people. Guess what? Kanye West still has his Twitter account. Kanye West still has his tweet up, and nobody bats an eye. If Kanye West says, I'm going DEFCON 3 on white people, or I'm going DEFCON 3 on Christian people, people will see that tweet, like it, share it, retweet it, and then they'll move on with their lives. And I've made this point before. A lot of people give hypothetical situations, but the proof is there, right? We just watched a almost 1.5 minute video of people like just dogging white people, saying some of the most disgusting racist stuff that you can, simply because you can get away with it. And you mean to tell me black people can't be racist? Anybody on this planet can be racist. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what race you are. It does not matter. If you degrade another group of people because of their race, or if you believe that you are superior to others because of your race, that is racism. And it's not rocket science. It's not hard to grasp that concept. And it's not an ever so changing definition. Like I said, I know people like to take definitions and reword them to be able to fit their narrative or help push along their whatever point they're trying to make in any given situation. But like I said, a fact is just something that is, right? And the fact is that we live in I don't even just want to say a country, or maybe even a world, but specifically a country in which us as black people, we can say anything that we want, virtually anything that we want, especially if it's directed toward white people. Like just pure white people. I'm not talking about what their religion is or whatever the case may be, right? It's hard to look at somebody and say, oh, that's a Jewish person or a Christian person or whatnot. But it is so easy to look at somebody and say that's a white person, obviously. And it's just so blatant how obvious the bias is that these social media companies have toward certain groups of people, right? Joe Rogan even said it before. He talked about it with the Twitter executives about how people dog him all the time in his mentions, right? And they will talk trash about him, maybe say something about him being white or whatever the case may be. Somebody like that, he'll just block those people or he just won't look at them. But he's not lying in the sense that you can just have a field day with white people in terms of degrading them in every manner possible. Yet we wonder why every single day we wake up, we got to hear something else about race. It's like the people who want the conversation to be eradicated the most are always the ones who are bringing it up, are always the ones who are keeping it alive, keeping the issues of race alive in the general sense. I'm not saying that if you stop talking about racism that it's just going to go away, but you will just deal with individual situations on a case-by-case basis. Racism will no longer be the culmination of American culture unless we continue to constantly bring it up. And then what makes it even worse is, like I said, we have this sense of impunity where we can say whatever we want because we know that no one will check us. That's so hypocritical, it's crazy. And I'm not saying this just to say it, right? It's important to call stuff out like this when you see it, because we are making very little to no progress when stuff like this pops up. And the fact that it is still available to watch, right? It is hypocritical, because you look at the next person's tweet or video or remark that goes in on black people or any other group of people that isn't white, and it's taken down immediately. They are on top of it like it's nobody's business. But that same respect isn't given across the board, and it's ridiculous, because at the end of the day, the more that we give into this crap, we are no better than the people that we hate. We are turning into the people that black people as a whole have despised, right? Racist white people. That's who black people tend to point the finger at, the white man. Well, if your idea of the white man is somebody who degrades black people, who is racist, and a bunch of other stuff, well, looking at this video, what makes you so different? Because the way I see it, black people are phenomenal at so many things. But what we have become superior at, especially in the 21st century, is embodying victimization and using our history as a crutch to operate in whichever manner we so choose. Is that who we want to be? Because if so, then that means our goal all along was to get our foot in the door to be able to do to them what they did to us. Congratulations. Black America is now racist.